All right, guys. Today's video is going to be a video about where the world's heading, what is AI going to do to everything, and just my thoughts as a 22-year-old navigating this world. Okay? So I'm seeing a lot of doom posting, a lot of very depressive articles, and just progress with technology that's deflationary in the job market in the sense that it's going to make everyone useless. Essentially, people who have knowledge work. Now, do I believe that it's going to make everyone useless? I think it's better than humans right now. I think it's going to get way better. And I actually think it will replace a lot of humans, a lot of people. I think it's going to completely disrupt the job market and the entire world. But the infrastructural lag is going to take a bit of time. So the technology is already here, but the lag effect from technological creation to the lag effect of it actually becoming an infrastructural embodiment in the system, okay? Like we have it here, but it's just not to the scale in businesses and all that sort of stuff. So AI agents aren't necessarily integrated in businesses yet. Once that takes place, I do think we're going to see massive ramifications. Now, this is a topic I've been thinking about because I'm 22. I'm entering the workforce, entering the age of, I like to view life in stages. You go from 0 to 20 learning about things, and then 20 to 30. I mean, you've learned about things, but you're still learning about things that entire time. But you're in the phase of acquiring experiences, networks, as in people, connections, business connections, slow building of wealth, and knowledge, right? Number one, knowledge is now open for all. So the knowledge that you know isn't necessarily unique or useful. So it democratizes knowledge on a global landscape, which is very, very actually scary in the sense that, it used to have merit in the sense you could say you knew a lot about a topic, but it doesn't matter now. You could say, I know all about this topic as a selling point for yourself. But I feel like it doesn't matter because AI is going to know infinitely better than you. So why does it matter? So it can't really be a selling point in a job interview. This isn't here right now, but I think this is going to be the case in the future. It can't. It's really going to democratize quite literally everything that's going to require your brain. So financial modeling, consultancy, all these different things that people used to take pride in, I think will be slowly replaced or augmented. Now, augmented does not also mean very bad because what that means is there's less humans for the same output. So this whole idea of like maybe a team of 100 goes to a team of 10. Now, the reason I'm a little bit worried about it is the ramifications that it has on the long-term effects of an economy, of the world, and of wealth distribution. So if you basically have it very difficult to acquire money in the sense that out of 100 people, only 10 are getting jobs, that's going to have very, very big ripple effects on the economy. It's going to also have very big effects on population growth, which I do think the globalist elite people potentially, I don't know why they want to stunt the human population, but apparently they do. It does seem that way with the way they're running the financial system. But I don't know if AI is that was something that was planned for this, but whatever, you got to adjust to the times you're in. So I see a lot of doom posting, I see a lot of negativity, and yeah, I think that it's very valid. I think that it's going to come. How soon? I don't know. So that's why I'm doing everything that I can to position myself, my family in the right position. And if you listen to this video, you could probably position yourself a bit before the train hits. Because things are about to get very, very difficult, I believe. From an economic standpoint, from an opportunity standpoint, from a selling yourself standpoint in terms of like where you want to head in life. As essentially everything becomes democratized, media, knowledge work, all that good stuff. Even seriously, like media is a big one. Like how you portray yourself, you don't know what's real anymore. You're going to get to a point where you actually don't know what's real, and that's where they're probably going to introduce government registered identification for people that they have to have IDs to use Instagram or whatever platform. Okay, which is going to also be very unpleasant. Anyway, it's a very confusing time in the world, and is it a time of opportunity? Look, every every shift in the world has had opportunity, and it's also had a lot of losers and a lot of winners. Well, not really a lot of winners, but very few marginal winners. In the Industrial Revolution, there was a very few people that had massive outsized returns, but overall, it did increase the life quality of most people. You know, do we want to go back to a time where there was no fridges, where there was no cars or whatever? Probably not. Now, is there more depression and more anxiety in this modern world? I don't know. Maybe there is before. Maybe they weren't talking about back then. I don't know. Maybe it was more like we can't change it, so let's just deal with it. Because not a theory, it's just true that when humans are in survival, they don't have time to be thinking about being depressed or whatever. They just have to wake up and get food, otherwise they will literally die. I feel with modern humans right now, that's not the case. We won't just die. Like in modern countries like Australia or whatever, there's welfare. You can always default onto that. But what will happen is a crisis of meaning, a crisis of purpose, a crisis of doing hard things and seeing results. So you might just be working hard, but no results going to come out of it, which is a terribly, what's the word for it? Disenfranchising way to be living. It really is. This is why everything is undecided. I do not know what's going to happen. I do not know what's going to happen. I hope for the best. And I do get a bit nihilistic sometimes looking at where things are heading, especially the world, especially because I view the world from a systematic viewpoint of structures and systems, and also financial systems which dictate everything, because finance is money and money is energy, and energy dictates the world. And right now it's being consolidated in the hands of a few individuals to an extreme amount, and they're going to own everything in terms of the technology, in terms of the AI, in terms of all of it. So really your opportunity as an individual to create wealth for yourself, which I mean by wealth, not to be flexing, but to have wealth in terms of peace and freedom, and not have debt, not have all these different things that add stress to your life. Because ultimately, I feel like most people just want to be healthy, fit, calm, not in debt, get out to some sun. Not everyone needs to be a famous actor, a famous this or that, okay? I mean, people have niche interests like myself, I do too, but not everyone's gunning for the top of the ladder in the social hierarchy. And that's fine. You don't need to be doing that. And I think as you get older, you realize it's not really that important at all. It's very vain. It's very slippery, that slippery slope. But you want to basically manifest your ambitions, right? Whatever that may be. Which is why I went to Dubai and met a bunch of cool people. And now it's obviously getting exploded. Well, not exploded, but there's a bit of issues happening in the whole Iran-Israel thing. So where the world's heading, there's a few things that are very concerning, right? And this is not going to be a doomer post. Like, what we're going to view the positives out as at the end. It's just like right now we're going to cover what actually happening. So fiat currency is losing its value. Okay, that's the US dollar, that's the Australian dollar against asset prices, okay? And even the CPI rate. It's losing all its value essentially. Every year you don't invest, every year you don't make a lot of money, you are just compounding negatively against what is happening with the broader economy, which is the fiat currency is losing its value because it inherently is useless. It inherently offers basically nothing. It's just a store of value that loses about 10% of its value every single year, okay? Why is that? Because they can print infinite of it, okay? So that's just very, very simple. That's why we see things like gold and silver going up, we see houses going up, we see other asset classes going up, as they are just pricing in the money printing that exists, and money printing, which is basically the deleveraging of your labor units. So every time they print money, it makes your labor worth less, okay? That's why it's very important to be investing and doing the correct thing with your money, because, there's all these various takes about, oh, guys, AI is going to make the world utopia. Okay, really? Are we going to be having free housing? Are we going to be having all these things? Is groceries going to become free? I will believe it when I see it, but inherently it's still unfair because someone living on the coast versus someone living right in the outback is living a totally different, varied lifestyle. Also, access to other opportunities and social graphs and networks and etc., which dictate a lot of things like self-esteem, a lot of things and friendships and all that sort of stuff. That being said, those are also on the decline too. But there's ways to combat all this sort of stuff by just getting outside and actually talking and realizing that a lot of people are experiencing the same things, even young people, right? Because I guarantee you, a lot of people are already sick of this technology, but you can utilize it for greatness too. It's double-edged sword. Everything tends to be double-edged sword in life. It's not a one size fits all answer. So that's why I never listen to like extreme hyperbole. Now, what do you do? Let's say you can't get a job in this current economy. Really, you just have to take whatever you can find and just to start stacking capital and start stacking experience in whatever that is, even if it's like a restaurant, whatever it is, um, or try to make some networks in an industry you're trying to get into that is stable. If AI is going to come, well, then nursing is going to be stable. You might have teachers that still exist for a bit. Um, the problem is with this, the trickle down effects. If 60 plus or 30% of people lose their jobs, that unemployment rate is going to cause a flood of people moving into jobs that won't get replaced by AI, which then devalues those jobs and then makes those jobs hard to get into. So then the same thing happens, but with every single industry. So that's my concern. So let's say everyone in white collar loses their job. Well, tradesmen are going to get flooded with the supply of new people. You're going to have nurses, and that's about it. There's not much else that's really hands on besides that. Trades, nursing. What else is there? I don't know. Not much. So now we got like 50% of the population running into those things, which I don't think I don't think the demand ratio to supply ratio should even handle that. It just wouldn't make sense. So that would mean the economics of the world would actually have to change at that point. So yeah, that's probably going to happen in the future. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but it's probably going to be a slow shift over there. So what does this mean? I think what it means for the youth is like you can pretty much say goodbye to the opportunity of like getting really, really rich, unless you inherited like a lot of wealth from your family. Because generating wealth right now, when all the market inefficiencies are getting closed, is going to be basically impossible. So that's like talking about getting very rich if you don't have much capital. So capital equals money. If you do have capital, you could probably start some sort of business and then nurture it with that money as money makes money, right? But if you're like normal, like I'm pretty normal, mostly I'm a little bit not normal, but I'm mostly normal. Um, then you obviously have to grind and work for what you have and then invest it slowly. It's because everyone gets dealt a different card in life. And some people are born into wealth, some people are born into very good looks, some people are born into a very good country, very good friend group, whatever. You can only play the card you're dealt with at the time. So the card that's dealt right now for all the youth and all the 22-year-olds like myself is a card that is probably going to shift with time and probably going to devalue, and a card that's probably going to confuse a lot of people. Now, the one thing I'm not going to let happen is getting into this nihilistic, depressive mindset, because you end up doing nothing. You end up just depressed. So why would you do that? Like, at least be happy. You can always be happy in a situation. Like, you don't have to be, I just don't feel like you have to be depressed. Get outside. You might not be as rich as you wanted to, but so be it. If that's what happens in life, then not everything's going to play out exactly how you want. And that's probably how things pan out, right? But you can still enjoy life for sure. And by the way, I'm not dooming. I'm being honestly realistic too. Okay. So this is how it is, and I'm already in the levels in terms of like monetary situations. I have a great friend group and all that stuff, but I've had to cultivate that through very difficult times and putting myself in very uncomfortable situations. So yeah, I think AI is going to change a lot. I think it's actually going to have really bad effects to begin with, and then society will have to restructure. And then from that new rebirth, is it going to be positive or negative? I don't know. I do think it leans more over to like a socialistic communism society, sadly, where the new system, the monetary system changes. We like have CBDCs, big centralized currencies online. We already have that, but it's more like ledger based, which is tracked even more. Um, you have more control, more sort of that stuff. Yeah, I think the world's heading that way, honestly. But you can still extract goodness out of whatever the world is at the time. I mean, if you look at the medieval times, imagine being born in that age bracket, you were probably no chance of ever getting any wealth. You had no chance of even living beyond 30, probably with the Black Plague and all that sort of stuff. Every generation gets dealt a different card. The Boomer's got a pretty good card if you played your card right, and if you were smart, look at the right information, also from a good family. That helps a lot too. Okay. So what's my final words to the youth out there that are in the same situation I'm in, but like I'm employed, obviously, like I'm doing university, finishing that off just in case I need to use a degree or get a backup job. But the reality is we don't know what's going to happen. Okay. And I'm also saying this to me so I can look back when I'm like 40 and just see how it panned out. If the world exists till I'm 40. So Isaac, when I'm 40, let's see what happens. You got 18 years to go. That is damn well scary. 18 years. I gotta get my butt moving, boys. I hope it's better. I hope life is great then. I hope I got a family. I hope I got whatever. But in terms of the world, I don't know what's gonna happen then. I actually have no idea. I want to be optimistic, but I have a view. I have like this gut feeling that things are gonna be worse than they are now. But it doesn't mean there aren't good memories created during that time leading up to that. So maybe macro is crap, but you can have micro good things that exist. If you look at society, it tends to move in very, very cyclical patterns. There's times of war, there's times of collapse, there's times of restructuring, there's times of joy. It's the same thing. It just it happens on a very zoomed out landscape. And I think right now for the youth, we're going from the landscape where it's starting to downtrend. Okay? Downtrend economically, that's the big one. Downtrend society-wise. All that sort of stuff. So that doesn't mean you can't create your own little bubble within that and have a little nice little world. But there are obviously external forces that are at play here. Different generations had different situations. You know, the generation before the boomers experienced the wars, World War II, World War One. They're very hard people. And then the boomers came out and they essentially went through the boom. That's what they call boomers. And we're Gen Z experiencing what we're experiencing. But you know, we have different things. We're more comfortable, but also that can be a bad thing at the same time. That's all I have to say, guys. I don't know I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen. And I think a lot of people are gonna lose their jobs. I think getting a job's gonna be very hard. I also think be prepared for reality to hit. You know, you can have great ambitious dreams and chip at them every single day, but if they don't play out, you have to still be able to be happy and content in your existence and enjoy it for what it is. Okay, you're here once in this earth. You don't want to live it miserably. You can still enjoy things, right? People in other countries still enjoy their time if they don't have millions of dollars or whatever. I would say, like, more than ever, it's important to build a very good social community around you to really, you know, find things you enjoy. Like, what do you enjoy? Maybe it's going into the beach. Maybe it is learning something and not doing it from a purely monetary perspective. Obviously, being budgeting, saving what you can, and even living, downgrading and having to live a less, how do you call it, less flashy lifestyle. Maybe you have to be back in your parents' house because you're spending like $400 a week and all your money is going away and you can't save anything for the future. Maybe that's the case. Or maybe you don't want to save for the future. Maybe you just want to blow it all. But I would recommend saving and having a cash buffer. Okay, I would say that's very important for your mental health. Otherwise, you will always be on edge, like nonstop. I would say you need about $50,000 to like actually not be like very on edge. I could not imagine having like 2K and like trying to live. It's just scary. $50,000 is the minimum you need to like be mentally okay. That being said, if things get better and like, you know, the world starts to look like it's healing, then great, we are on the ripper. Let's say the government prints a stack of money for a bit, which honestly long term is going to completely destroy fiat currency. But in the short term, hey boys, stimulus in the system. Things will probably pop off for a bit. But as for jobs, yeah, look, it's probably going to get worse, honestly. Find something that, you know, requires your hands, requires you to maybe, I don't know, maybe sales will augment, maybe, I don't know, I have no idea what's going to happen. You watch this video for me to say I don't know what's going to happen. But I want to say to everyone, don't be depressed, don't be anxious, and get ready to, if your dreams don't materialize, get ready to adjust them too. Like, I'm going to probably have to adjust what I want to do. I have all these grand visions, right? They probably would have worked out 20 years ago. They might not in my lifetime because of the current climate, and I have to adjust that. And I still have to be able to extract happiness out of that and out of life, even if those things are happening, because my life isn't just my goals. I have deeper meaning, which is from my soul, from God, and what I believe in. Okay. At the end of the day, that's why having something to anchor yourself with is very important. It's just the Bible there. Even though I'm not a perfect person, I make mistakes. At the end of the day, we're all going to die. Okay. And your dreams can be so important, and a bus can hit you out and you're gone. So, like, it's always good to put yourself into perspective. Otherwise, you can very, very quickly lose yourself and get depressed and spiral and then just become a total mess. So the saying goes, let the Lord's will prevail, essentially. Whatever the Lord wants to take place, what the Lord will do. And that's how I will live my life. And whatever happens, happens. I've already lived a very, very varied life from taking risks and trying new things. But, I have one more grand plans. I'm 22. There's a lot of things I want to do. Hopefully I can get to materialize them in the future. But we don't know what's going to happen. I might be in Bahamas in 20 years. I don't even know where I'm going to be in the next 5 years. I don't even know what's going to happen. All I can say is just work hard every single day, be healthy, get good sleep, talk to people, have a good time, and just keep moving forward. Like, that's it. That's the human condition, right? Yes, we have all these macro forces that are hurting us, but not much you can do, guys. For now, stay safe out there. I'll be updating this video maybe in the next year, maybe in the next 2 years, maybe when I'm 40. I don't know. But regardless, it'll be good to look back on to see how things panned out, including the AI race. Do I think things are going to get worse? Probably before they get better. Things usually tend to get a lot worse before they get a lot better. That tends to be a pattern that exists in reality. Anyway, guys, do not doom. Be positive. Push forward every day. Push through the hard things. Do hard things. Push through them. And just do what it takes. Do what it takes. Anyway, guys, get some rest. Have a good day. And I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.